And now we have our correspondent Lucy Huff joining us live from London. She's been bringing us non-stop live updates since 7 a.m. India time this morning, closing in on about 12 hours of reporting. Lucy, talk to us. If I were to ask you what's the story of this night, what would it be?
I think it's an extraordinary story and an unexpected one that's come out of the events overnight. We started with the prediction of a relatively small Conservative majority, but then that shock exit poll that predicted not just a win for the Conservatives, but a really substantial, comfortable majority for the incumbent Prime Minister Boris Johnson. That, of course, solidifying his mandate to go through and get his deal through and secure Brexit by January the 31st, our departure date, then negotiate a free trade agreement. But a devastating blow for Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour leader, the opposition party, a catastrophic defeat for him, the worst result for Labour in decades, their poorest result since 1935, just 203 seats, which is down 59 for the party. And as you were saying there, Jeremy Corbyn says he will stand down, he won't lead the party into the next election, but that's not going to be something that happens immediately. There are rumours that he wants to stay on to try and bring one of his inner circle into a leadership role instead of a more centrist figure, as someone like Keir Starmer, the current shadow Brexit secretary. So the future of the British left is the real story that will continue now. But in terms of Brexit, the path is now clear. We will leave on January the 31st, as was in that repeated slogan delivered by Boris Johnson over the course of this short 5-week campaign. He will then be negotiating a free trade agreement with Brussels. So the path is clear, an astounding win for Boris Johnson, one that would have been the upper expectations of what he and his party were hoping for. And for the SNP as well, that the whole of Scotland almost has turned yellow, the colour of the Scottish Nationalist Party. So calls now from the leader of that party, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, for a second referendum on Scottish independence. So the future of the Union also in doubt today.
Lucy Huff joining us. Lucy, stay with us. So we also have our London Bureau Chief Mandy Clark joining us on the broadcast. Mandy, talk to us. It's been one election that has so many factors surrounding it. But at this point in time, even as Boris Johnson is meeting the Queen in the Buckingham Palace, what's the mood like in London, if I were to ask?
I've been around the City of London today, and there was, in a sense of relief. Of course, the City of London is the financial heartland, and it's clarity that they were looking for. It was the clarity of financial future, knowing what's going to happen in Brexit. And so a lot of businesses, even though it might be not the result, or Brexit might not be the business-friendly option, it's certainly clarity in the way forward. And so that's why also we've seen a bounce in the pound as well when the election early exit polls in fact came out. We're seeing a bounce there. The mood in London overall, in fact, London was predominantly large sections of it were Labour, so a lot of people will be disappointed in particularly London, but overall the entire nation, really, a lot of those Labour heartlands turned blue. So the Tories certainly had strong backing by the UK public. What is going to be really interesting now is the type of Brexit that Boris Johnson chooses to go for. In many ways, in the previous Parliament, he had to really choose that hard right to get those strong Brexiteers, those far-left Brexiteers, on side to get his deal through. Now, with such a comfortable majority, we'll see the true Boris Johnson, if you will, if he's more of a centrist, EU-friendly kind of exit, more softer Brexit, if you will, or if he really does go for that super hard Brexit. So it'll be telling, we can, in the coming days and even months, what type of leader and where his true stands are, because in many ways he was really tied with political alliances to get stuff through.
London Bureau Chief Manny Clark joining us. Lucy Huff continues to be with us on the broadcast as well. Lucy, you've been tracking these election results non-stop. If you can tell us what it was like for somebody from the media to see this happen, because there was always the doubt that the exit polls might be completely contradicted, the opinion polls might get completely contradicted by the final results, and in the end, the final results became a reiteration of those opinion polls and exit polls.
Yes, and actually the exit poll wasn't quite right. It predicted that Labour would win 191 seats. It did do slightly better than that, but still correctly predicted that huge win for Boris Johnson and his Conservative Party. I think the thing that's really taken journalists, I mean, we were expecting it to a certain extent, this complete overhaul of the political landscape, particularly in the northeast of England and the Midlands. Seats that have voted Labour, in some cases for as long as a century, for 100 years. They've been red seats, Labour seats. They are mining towns, working class towns, where a generation ago it would have been unthinkable for those seats to vote Conservative. But that's exactly what they did in yesterday's general election. Seats like Blythe Valley, which has been a Labour seat since the 1950s. Another seat, Workington, which again has been held by Labour for decades, but again yesterday turned blue. I mean, it's a complete revolution of the political geography of the UK, and I think the SNP, that result in Scotland, has also surprised many. We were expecting a large number of seats to be won, but 48 seats, I apologise, taking away those 13 seats that went to the Conservatives in the 2015 election, which this very charismatic leader, Ruth Davidson, who swept through. She was a liberal-minded, she was a Remainer, so she appealed to centrist voters who voted Conservative in that election. But that has been completely reversed with this result today. So we are looking at the possibility of calls for another Scottish independence referendum, and the calls for Labour really to work out its political future. They may not be able to win these seats back by the 2024 election if Brexit doesn't go to plan, or if those new voters stay with the Conservatives. So the future of the British left is really in doubt today.
Oh, well, hold on. You're talking about a 2024 where a Brexit is still being done? Well, hard to imagine, but you never know really when it comes to British politics, as we've seen so far. Lucy Huff, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast.